Greetings and welcome everyone to Into the Nexus, the podcast all about Heroes of the Storm, which I think we're just going to start calling Craft Wars at this point because the patch that just hit the PTR this week is one of the coolest damn themes in the history of cool damn themes in this game. I'm Garrett Weinzierl, here as always with Kyle Fergusson. How you doing, Kyle?
I am ecstatic. It's everything I waited for. I respect the creativity, Garden of Terror, you know, Sky Temple, unique places, but holy crud, it's finally happening. The Heroes event that I wanted this whole time. Chrissy crossover action, ridiculous, awesome opening song, King of Blades, SCV Gazlowe, like it. I've been spoken to, Garrett. I'm so stoked.
It's the same, man. Same. Like, it's what we've gotten it here and there, right? There's plenty of crossover skins in the game. There have been since the very beginning. The Kel'Thuzad event was a big Warcraft. Oh, I spilt Warcraft in all of my other IPs. Like, that was rad. That was probably up until this point my favorite in-game event, but I think this might top it. I think this might top it.
It's humble. It's a humble event. You know how much work they put into it. This was a lot of focus to pull this off. And I'm stoked as hell. I can't wait for more of this. The last thing I want to do today is look a gift horse in the mouth. So I praise it, elevate it. It's awesome. Enjoy it.
It was very good. It was very, very good, man. It's there's some cool stuff going on. You know, I'm gonna move crap around right now. Let's just for a second on a primarily audio show, just sing the praises of the visuals, because you and I have both gotten onto the PTR, looked at the skins that are gonna get added to the game. I'm assuming next week, unless something weird happens. These are really cool skins. You know, this is gonna be like our fanboy episode, by the way, folks. If you don't know, Kyle, you and we like ourselves some StarCraft and some Warcraft.
That's true, and that's true.
So I think we'd be pretty on board with the two kind of colliding here. So, I guess let's start with Arthas, King of Blades Arthas. We're getting a Zergy Arthas looking skin.
Yeah, what a perfect candidate for it. So I'd still love Infested Boyfriend Raynor.
Infested Boyfriend. Oh, yeah, dude.
You know?
Yeah, that wouldn't be StarCraft like crossover though. That would just be StarCraft fan fiction.
That'd just be more StarCraft.
Just be more. I got more StarCraft on my StarCraft. What am I gonna? But frankly, they should do it. Like, why not? I'm with you. That's fan fiction I can get behind.
Yeah, there's a range. You know, we go from like the epic skins to the sort of more normal low tier skins, or at least the amount they change anyway. But Draenei Artanis, awesome. Dude. Protoss, Draenei, they're already a little similar in the first place. Just like you got the Kerrigan storyline, you got the Arthas storyline. Like it's made better by the obviousness that they're both basically the same in the first place.
Yeah. But that's the kind of thing, dude. Like, this is what I dig about it, like, I don't know, being like a visual fan of Blizzard stuff, because like I'm just impressed with that Artanis skin. Like, I am not the biggest Artanis fan, and I'm not the biggest Draenei fan. Like, there's two things that by themselves are they're organized very neatly on my meh shelf of Blizzard fandom. But I just look at that skin. It's so well executed that I'm just like, I need this. I need this day one. This is like the only skin I'm going to use for Artanis from here on out. It totally hits me, and I don't know. I feel bad just fanning, but damn it, like, I'm really excited about this patch.
No,
like,
it increases, like, let's get gameplay. It increases playability. Because we got May, who's, a climatologist, frosty stuff, got a robot.
Not a fantasy I buy into.
No. I'm not usually cold enough for such a large jacket. explore those sort of environments.
The fictions that I grew up in, May is the boring version of the character before like they have some crazy mutation and become the Swamp Thing or the Hulk. Like
there you go.
It's just like, no, I don't want Bruce Banner. I want the Hulk. Like May is just a cool scientist, which is fine.
You nailed it.
But
you nailed it. It's the guy who shows up to the superhero party with superior intelligence. And he's got like inventions. Granted, Tony Stark became cool, and it was amazing that they pulled off a cool Tony Stark. He was very moody and became more moody as it went on because that's where he had to go with it. But still, like I'm more of the Storm type, you know. Granted, Storm does a lot of talking to those storms she's summoning, and it kind of always was weird for me because she's controlling the weather, but she's like asking the weather to do the thing that she's. It worked with the theme anyway. We got Death Knight May.
Yeah, done, dude. Like I was already on board. Like so many of the Overwatch heroes like fall into that category of this is not a fantasy that I personally have a lot of passion for. You know, I like Lucio. Like I don't know. I've never really wanted to be a DJ. Like, and I certainly have no love in my heart for like roller skating. I'm not like, yeah, let's go rollerblading. I'm stoked.
Badass.
But I play him, and the kit's fun as hell. Doesn't matter. Love playing Lucio. I have a blast every time I get on there because it's just a fun character to control. And May is the same way. I love May's kit. You know, you go back to the May episodes when she was first added, and I just really like kind of how old school her kit feels on top of kind of being this greatest hits of everything we learned from tanking. But, you know, just, I don't know. Being a nice scientist in a fur coat is like, to me, it's like, I came to Blizzard for skulls on spikes and chains and space truckers. Like that's what I came to this studio for. And so now that I can get a May that's a little more aligned with my rigid fantasy desires on top of a kit that I love playing, it's a win-win, man. I love it.
Yeah. Really excited about that one. The SCV Gazlowe is fantastic. He builds little tiny command centers for his turrets. You know, he's got his hat on, but basically the SCV part of him is so large you can ignore the Gazlowe underneath if you really wanted to.
It does look a little I mean, Gazlowe at his core is an imbalanced looking hero because it's these tiny little goblin legs with this giant big robotic thing, but it's like the humor of it is amplified with the way they've stylized the boxy ass SCV top portion of his mech. And yeah. So it's just kind of anytime it's turned away from you at any angle, even if it's like 3/4 where you're kind of seeing the back of the SCV and obscuring Gazlowe, it is so hilarious looking because it looks like they forgot the tank treads.
I mean, with the rework too, there's going to be a lot of turrets if you choose to do that build. I'm really excited for that Gazlowe. And perhaps on the lower tier, but still nice, is the Emperor of the Dominion Anduin, which is Valerian. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
See what I wanted. I do have a request for this one. I wish he had a beard. I just wish he had. I know it's doing the Valerian thing, but I wish it went full minx and had him with a beard.
I disagree. Like Anduin and Valerian look so similar, and I really like the whole kind of Dominion, like royalty garb.
Sure.
There was something that we like. I remember in the really early days of you and I starting to podcast together, and you know, seeing because Valerian didn't show up till Heart of the Swarm, right? He wasn't in Wings of Liberty,
right?
Yeah, right, we saw an early piece of concept art for Valerian, like way before we ever actually got to play through the campaign. I was just like, it's like a blood elf in space. I'm so into this because you know me and blood elves. Sure. I just like Valerian's costume, and Anduin looks very similar. So it's just like, to me, it's a no-brainer. We're not going to get a Valerian hero. Just give me a Valerian skin for Anduin, because Anduin's armor is pretty cool, but I don't know. This Valerian, for some reason, I really like the Valerian skin.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. That's my own personal thing. I just want a big, cheesy, like, pasted on with spirit gum beard on Anduin.
Spirit gum. Oh, man. What a I mean, getting close to October. Good reference.
I drove by one the other day, so they're getting going, man. It's Halloween already.
Deep cinnamon broom smelling cut. Well done. Well done.
And an odd pile of pine cones to carry us into Christmas.
Yeah, man. I'm I'm over the moon with just the theming of this. And then we're also getting a Zerg Invincible mount to go along with our King of Blades Arthas called Invincilisk, which,
yeah,
who doesn't want that?
It's a nice little crossover. Plus, they made an Alliance bike out of the Vulture that has like the shields on it and stuff. So I really appreciate where they put the effort in this. I'm really excited. The top of the show, that was the music that plays when you log into the game right now, and it's a badass crossover. Oh man. And now that we've geeked out on this episode, we can be nice and professional on our next episode.
Yes, because we're going to be joined by Heroes of the Storm Senior 2 artist Andrew Keenabrew. He's returning to the show. We're going to be nice and professional, but if this episode ends up being a little too much art geekery for you, I'm sorry, because it's going to continue in the next week. But patrons in our Discord dropped some questions. We're going to go through, vet them, and kind of, as usual, kind of work them into our conversation with Brew. And I'm excited to talk to him because, as you can tell, I'm a little passionate about the theme of this event. So I don't know. I don't know about you, man. Like, we've been at this so long. Like, there's a lot of parts about covering Blizzard games that have you get a little jaded, right? You get a little jaded. You forget why you were super stoked in the first place to start covering stuff like this. It's stuff like this that reminds me of it, because like I'm still a total dork about like the art and the costumes of Blizzard games, and like cosplay is still that thing that I haven't personally gone after or really gotten into myself, but it's like every time I'm at BlizzCon, I love freaking seeing cosplay, and every year that I can fit it into the schedule, I go and see the costume contest. And so when I see stuff like this, I'm just like, it's so much my fan jam.
Yeah. Space Lord Leoric, man. That's what I do.
Well done.
Like all the lights, walking around my 6'4" self, like doing the swagger walk. Standing with your helmet off too, you just feel like a badass. You know it's a costume, but you'd have a big old mace anyway.
Yep. Oh, apparently Valerian was in Wings of Liberty. He's the one who takes us the char at the end of that game.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's so Anduin though. It was kind of.
I gotta say, this isn't helping, but I've been having a strong pull to want to go and replay StarCraft 2's campaigns. Now it's multiplying.
It's a good thing to do.
Ooh, I have a 4K monitor now. I haven't played StarCraft in 4K.
Do it. I mean, honestly, the difficulty settings in StarCraft 2 for the campaign are really, really fun. Mm-hmm. I really enjoy going through on Brutal. Right now, I'm eyeing something called Iron Harvest. It's a new RTS game, so I'm getting the RTS itch again.
Yep. I blame Warcraft 3 Reforged not doing it for me.
Well, you and a lot of people. Man.
But I'm not even like coming down on that. It's like the main thing I kept coming back to Warcraft 3. I was like, oh, the fact that it controls exactly as it did is a downside. I just wanted StarCraft 2 controls, and so. Like, that's kind of like the most base level complaint I levy at is like, it's too faithful, and it's not, I have played a better RTS in my opinion. So, but yeah, anyways, dude, lots more to talk about. We're going to get into the nitty gritty of it here in just a sec. But before we do so, we want to thank those of you supporting us over at patreon.com/ITN. That's where you can go and subscribe to our podcasts. It's an opt-in paid subscription, $1, $2, whatever works for you. It all helps Kyle and myself out a ton. This is a large portion of how we make a living, and this is how we make a living doing it. So thank you for your support, everybody. Check out patreon.com/ITN. You'll get ad-free versions of the show. When we do have ads on the episode, you'll get access to our patron games. We just did some last Thursday. It was a blast, and access to our patron-only Discord. So go check it out. And to some of our most recent patrons, thank you to Chad Ryder, Torian90, and thank you to a patron that's been around for a while, but just became our latest producer level patron, Kyle, Sean B. Thanks for upping your pledge, Sean.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. Thank you, everybody who supports the show.
Yeah, means a lot to us and helps us out a ton. So thank you very much. And without further ado, let's get into this week's Heroes of the Storm news.
We're on, boys! Ha-ha! Let's liven up this place!
The moment is upon us.
Yes, I'd mana tap that.
Hold up. Hold up.
What?
I got further ado, though.
A further ado?
Yes, I do have further ado.
With further ado,
Yes.
Kyle Fergusson, ladies and gentlemen.
I got a PSA. It's got to be known. It's scary out there, all right? First of all, end of the season, so things are a little weird in the first place. But the numbers are in. It's more than enough games. We have a Cho'Gall epidemic.
He's too good.
He is amazing, in particular on the part of Gall. But there's a little bit of crisscross because, of course, the two heroes are one. There is something you need to be really worried about out there. Watch out for Cho'Galls. They're being picked a lot. In particular, on the Cho side, Enrage Regeneration is causing you to have 35% less healing for 4 seconds. Not a crazy huge deal. That's at level 7. But all these builds, the builds together are culminating in Leadened Orb at level 16 for Gall. This causes your Dread Orb to stun for 1 second. If you go with the 13, which they stack on top of this, which reduces the cooldown, the bounce causes extra bounces to the side, and you can cause it to bounce backwards with earlier talents, you can get stun locked. Stun locked for 2 seconds straight into another cast of this, and you can get stun locked for the entire time you fight Cho'Gall.
Jeez, man. What can we do about this? What could they possibly add to the game that could help with the exact issue you just described?
81% win rate on that talent build, by the way.
Oh, gross.
He is currently the highest win rate hero in the game. And if you pull off that build, and we've got plenty of numbers for it, you're looking at an absurd power spike in the late game. You'll probably lose the early game because, you know, Cho'Gall, they're going to take stuff to counter you. But once you get this online, it's amazing. But great segue. Let's ride that.
You want to ride a segue? That I don't have one to give you. I don't know how I can help you.
But you said if you get stun locked, if you don't want to stun locked,
I know. I'm sorry. I could not. You wanted to ride it, and I couldn't help making a terrible joke.
I got you. Okay.
So, big patch on the PTR. We talked about Craft Wars, the event, and the new skins that are coming in. But let's talk about the actual gameplay and how it's going to be changing, because we are getting. Everyone is getting. Well, almost everybody, Kyle, is getting a new ability on their action bar, and it's going to be called Gladiator's Medallion. And if you play World of Warcraft PvP, you may already know where this is going and be gasping in disbelief, but oh, believe it, because Gladiator's Medallion is coming to Heroes of the Storm as the next Heroes of the Storm Nexus anomaly. We are now going to start the game, Kyle, with a new item on our action bar. The Gladiator's Medallion can be activated to become unstoppable for 1 second.
On a 5-minute cooldown.
I was about to lead up to him. I was going to be like, and you might be thinking to yourself, that's ridiculous. That's preposterous. How could they possibly keep this in check? Well, they're keeping it in check with a 5-minute cooldown.
Yes.
300 seconds. Also, Deathwing and Gall are not going to be starting the game with Gladiator's Medallion, which makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, they'd be fine. They're both unstoppable all the time, and Cho has the button.
And Vikings players that are rubbing your hands together, laughing maniacally as you think of your god tier of micro ability. Sorry, all 3 of the Lost Vikings will gain the effect of the medallion when activated.
To be fair, you also have jump, so I think Lost Vikings will be okay. This is a fascinating anomaly, the final anomaly that we know about as part of a season structure anyway. As they said back in the cancellation of the weather anomaly, they're not going to do these every season. They may have ideas and want to impose them probably along with the season roll, but do not rely on this sort of thing happening. And because of our experience with weather, the rollout's been a lot saner. Everybody's much more open to experimenting, seeing what happens. There's some that say, no, 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 no. Most people are like, that might be cool. I'm down for it. Why not? Visually, I've watched some scrims from the PTR. And there is a cleanse effect. You kind of go, like this green mist kind of goes wah around you. But I mean, it kind of just looks like people randomly get unstoppable in fights. You know, Garrosh runs up to Raynor. Raynor goes and makes that weird like kind of noise, and Raynor doesn't get thrown. And your brain kind of goes, oh, I guess that was Gladiator's Medallion, but I'm not really sure. There's no observer overlay for this, of course, because they're just putting it in. There's no way on the tab screen to see if enemies have it, if allies have it off cooldown. It's going to be chaotic, but it could also solve a huge issue with the game, which is CC stacking. And if you are in the late game, I'm really excited about the idea that, you know, that one Falstad who's trying to get weird and do some soaking post 20 gets caught by a Stukov, you know, the root combo, and then he just dies, and he could have maybe unstoppable himself before that and gotten out just fine, but now he's dead and we're staggered, and oh, we got to have 4v5 for the end of the game. That sort of stuff's really exciting to me. Leading up to that, there are opportunities for cool plays, some more than other heroes. But before I get into particulars, where's your thoughts on it, Garrett?
My gut reaction is I'm really excited about this.
Okay.
That my first impression of this is that I really like this idea. I mean, it's kind of it to me, like from a like a spy plane level looking down on this, it's the opposite of what we saw with the weather anomaly, because we have complete control over when we activate this ability. Like, this is something that puts control into the player's hands, which just makes me on a base level like it more. My biggest gripe with the weather anomaly is that while the entire thing wasn't random, there was still a good amount of it that was, and I didn't like that part of it very much. And so I dig this. I like, to me, this is the kind of thing I look at and I just go, oh, it has wonderful knobs that we can turn to dial this in. You know, it has, we're starting with a 5-minute cooldown. Like, I mean, what is the average game length of Heroes of the Storm? I don't actually have the answer to this.
I mean, I would say probably 20 minutes.
I would say 20 minutes as well. Yeah. So
you're going to get 4 of these maximum?
On average. 4, I would say 3 is probably closer, because I don't think you're going to be using it in the first fight of the game.
I mean, you could, yeah, but then you wouldn't have it for first objective. So you're probably going to hold on to it unless it would really be a delete in the solo lane or something like that.
Yeah. So we're looking at 3 per hero over average game length of Heroes of the Storm. And then if you get into those crazy, like 13-minute victories, like, cool, maybe it got used twice. Like, this seems conservative, I think. I know it seems like the idea itself isn't like, it's like, let's give everyone the ability to get unstoppable. Let's give everyone an extra ability. That's pretty crazy. But then the ability on paper, it's a 1-second window of being unstoppable, and it is on an absurdly long cooldown. And so because of those two things, I like it. I like it quite a bit.
I'm excited for healers. There are really cool level 7 talents that go completely unpicked because the cleanse or whatever version of it is there. There are a lot of low league players, and I've heard from them, who take cleanse just so everybody sees it on the panel, you know, so they don't get yelled at. But they're not really sure when they should be using it or what it's for. They just know people get angry. So you got your Lily, your Rhaegar, your Uther, Whitemane, and a base kit we can include Anduin. Are there talents that are now available to those heroes? Or should I just go ahead and counter myself here and say it's a cleanse? It's on a way shorter cooldown, usually about a minute, but can be reduced in certain circumstances based on the hero. If you're casting 5 cleanses per Gladiator's Medallion, wouldn't you rather just have both? Doesn't that sound healthier? And probably in higher league play. But in low league play, where you can't get a healer, I've heard from you can't get healers because they're boring or people just want to carry or something. Serpent build Lily has a great talent at level 7, and you have to give up a cleanse to get it. Is that possible? Is Totem build Rhaegar more possible? Can you take that really, really cool cooldown reduction talent on Uther, where if you become CC'd, you get to blast your holy lights and whatnot around? That would be really, really fun.
Yeah, I agree, and you're excited for healers. I'm obviously excited for solo laners, basically for the same reason of that analogy of or that example you gave of Falstad, you know, like dying in the off lane late game. Like, I'm excited about not dying in the off lane early and mid game. Like, that's kind of cool, you know. It happens, dude. I like to think that I'm really good at looking the mini map, and I love telling people that they should look at the mini map, but it's, you know, sometimes
We all get busy.
Yeah, you're right. Thanks, man. Thank you for the out. So it would be nice. It would be very nice. I was, as a matter of fact, just today trying out rework Gazlowe on the live server, and totally got caught by a Nova. Not that this would have saved me from that, but still happens.
Well, as they're slow there that you may have been able to peel and get behind a building for a triple tap or something like that, there's going to be a lot of small instances where stuff like that can work out. And this cleanse thing is a cute idea. I think people still take cleanse. It's really obvious when you think of someone like Garrosh, who has Indomitable at 4 on a 40-second cooldown. Are we really going to say, like, Garrosh is cool now? He doesn't need that level 4 talent. He can experiment with these other cool talents. No. I mean, of course, Garrosh is still going to want Unstoppable on a much, much shorter cooldown to continue to make those engages with.
Well, and that's playing into my positive reaction to this, because if you're saying, well, no, I'm still taking the other, cleanse or Unstoppable talents, cool. It means that this cooldown is notably long.
Yeah. But, I mean, imagine Garrosh has his kill count reduced because unless he's targeting the same hero over and over again, which he might, which would actually be really crazy if this develops like Bounty Hunter Garrosh, who's like, I'm going to go throw Raynor. And wah, he cleanses out, goes away, but you're like, okay, 16 seconds more, Raynor, I'm coming back for you.
Yeah, but
and he just targeted the same hero for 5 minutes straight.
It's interesting gameplay, right? Like it's one more cooldown to keep track of, and there's play in that where like the Garrosh can choose to then continue targeting the Raynor, knowing the Gladiator's Medallion is off cooldown, but the Raynor can choose to play a lot safer because he doesn't have to get out of jail free card.
Exactly.
Like, that's kind of interesting. And again, this is all gut reaction. How does this look on paper?
Sure, it's all theory right now, and it just maybe Johanna feels a little lame in comparison here. That's really the only one that I feel like, in terms of tanks with Unstoppable, is going to lose what makes her special a little bit. But we're dealing with what, a 25-second cooldown there.
Again, it's just she gets one more Unstoppable. Like, why not?
The real interesting one to me is Chromie, who is currently running that temporal loop build. And she's the one who's going to have to do the real bounty hunting there and make sure on her minute cooldown that she's targeting the same person. Otherwise, if she targets a different person every cooldown, they'll all always have Gladiator's Medallion except for one cast.
That's a pretty specific scenario where, like, even if you're not actively thinking about it, the chances that in a row you what the hell? What's the talent on Li Ming for 20? Where if you don't use abilities in a sequence, you get a buff.
Oh, sure.
Talrasha's elements. Are you saying that Chromie should not or should not Talrasha elements the opposing roster?
Right. She basically has like 5 of those chess clocks set up, and every time she casts one, she just smacks the Raynor clock and is like, okay, he's done. All right, who next? Okay, ETC, let's get rid of his. Go down the line.
But that's cool. It's one more thing that you can excel on as a Chromie player now, is keeping track of the Gladiator's Medallion. That's kind of rad.
I always take these ideas too far because I enjoy them. Let me share the one I'm actually 100% for sure going to be doing. Mal'Ganis Dark Conversion. That thing has a 0.75 windup to do the swap. And I'm not casting it on cooldown of a minute. I'm usually casting it about every 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, huh? So now I can pre-cast, pre-unstoppable myself, and guarantee, without dazes or all the other interrupts that cause Dark Conversion to be bad next to bats, get that spell off. Same goes for Pyroblast for Kael'thas. I think that's a little longer, but we move in and out of Kael'thas Pyroblast metas because of the amount of CC. So 1.5 seconds there. He could get through the majority of his Pyroblast cast.
Those are really interesting takes that I hadn't considered. I still see Pyroblast just comes and goes so quickly. I don't have a good head for when we're in one. When we're in a
right now, I think
meta.
we're still in Phoenix. I think we're still in Phoenix because of the amount of disruption and all the ETCs and stuff. Because one days are pushed back, you're stuck on 8-second cooldown, I believe.
Yeah, good point.
I've got one more for you, and that is Zul'jin, Fury Varian, and maybe I'll include the Butcher. Unstoppable, as of December, removes blinds. Zul'jin comes down to usually one big fight towards the end of the game. Huh? Tychus too?
Okay, all right. I'm glad that you brought up one big fight at the end of the game because I'm thinking to myself, it's still every 5 minutes. Like,
you're not going to be like, Johanna blinded me.
Let's not get crazy here. But yeah, I mean, if you're focusing very much on like upsetting the expected outcomes of post 20 fights, yeah, it's one more thing. I feel like this whole conversation we just had, again, theoretical, but was surprisingly subtle.
Yeah.
And again, because it's only going to happen 3 to 4 times a game.
Exactly.
Like there's very specific scenarios where you can get an edge because of this, like proactively rather than reactively, right?
Right.
You look at this and I think your brain goes immediately to reactive. But you brought up some good proactive examples.
And it's worth bringing up, of course, that Butcher might just suffer horribly because people will be able to cleanse off his charge. But again, we're dealing with a 15-second cooldown there, but maybe a really good engage for Butcher. I think this gets really ridiculous when we think of someone like Greymane, who can Dark Flight on a 5-second cooldown, is going to unstoppable every time he engages. He'd love that. He loves it when you give him a cleanse like that. But I don't think Greymane's going to run away just because he has a 5-minute cooldown on that engage. The only bad thing I can come up with, other than maybe Johanna losing some specialness and all the various intricacies like that, is that there may be a world where in organized play, people dance around. There is Ring Around the Rosie at level 20 because nobody wants to engage before they have their Gladiator's Medallion on cooldown.
That is true.
I'm not talking about game length, though. I'm not concerned about Storm League in that regard. And the game length of organized play is probably perfectly healthy because they go for the core sooner, and they also do things like wait on their heroics longer. So it probably culminates into the same average. Worth noting, too, I haven't brought this up, but just like your Unstoppables on other characters, you can't cast it while stunned, silenced, slept, taunted, polymorphed. You cannot break your own CC.
Oh, so if you're already CC'd, doesn't matter?
Or if you're channeling. So if you're ETC and you're enjoying a nice mosh pit, you cannot see the Tyrande arrow coming in and hit that button. It's grayed out. You are locked into your mosh pit.
Your own. Okay, gotcha. That's what I'm... Yeah. Okay, now I understand you. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
but
again...
You got the first part, right? Like, if you are CC'd, you cannot hit this. If Kael'thas hits you with a gravity lapse, you're in that full animation. You cannot unstoppable yourself.
Oh, that's an important distinction. I'm not sure I was clear on that.
So Butcher, the reason why people are concerned about Butcher is because Butcher goes meat, charges you, and you know about when that's going to connect, and that's more dodgeable. Chromie, Temporal Loop, more dodgeable. But these really quick, like Muradin stuns, you may not pop that in time for.
Which is okay, I think, right? It's another nuance to the way this works. Exactly. Oh, Akira too, spinning around yet. She might suffer because she might get deposited in a weird spot. Cleanse is amazing against her revolving sweep. Once every 5 minutes per hero. Again, like all of this is under that umbrella where I'm just like, yeah, that's true, but also like there's like a Greymane example you gave. Like, I don't know, did it happen before a team fight? I'd be stoked if I was that Kira. I'm like, okay, maybe I could have killed him, but you know what? We don't need to worry about that cleanse in the next team fight.
Right. Some of them are like Muradin. Muradin's going for you. He throws a bolt at you. You unstoppable. Muradin goes, well, bummer. I still get a stack, but bummer. Whereas Diablo might be completely displaced, not hitting a stun that gave him health back, gave him all these benefits from his talent tiers, and he's dead. So each hero is going to have their own unique instance with it. I think Arthas, just having any sort of tank unstoppable button is going to do awesome. Because now you can do Icebound Fortitude if you want for like tanking things, not necessarily because it's your only way to get out of CCs.
It's almost like they knew. Maybe a little more interesting. Maybe they should give him a new skin.
No, maybe.
Tinfoil hat. Yeah. Again, so overall, I kind of dig this, and I'm not as scared about the Ring Around the Rosie bit too, because like I don't know if if the team on the back foot that doesn't want to engage because they have multiple medallions on cooldown, like they're the ones that would be avoiding the fight. Well, maybe if you have yours ready to go, you could start taking some more risks, trying to push out, a fort or taking some aggressive mercenary camps or something. Like it could mold the game in an interesting way. Think of it as clay or a water balloon. As we push in or pull out on one area, it affects a different section of the piece. And I think it'll be kind of different in organized play versus our pickup games at home too, as to how Definitely. That type of understanding interacts with our game. So I don't know. Again, I really like this on paper. So I'm anxious to just get next week and stop staring at the longest queue time ever in PTR trying to get some games in. So
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think Overwatch has even put their PTR inside the client itself, so you don't have to load up something else or install something else. PTR seem a little outdated, but I'm happy I got to get in there and experiment. What about like the one I'm most excited about in the Storm League environment is the Falstad Mighty Gus on a boss. Comes in, it's all solo style. It's one spell. You hit unstoppable. You don't get blown away. You get the boss. Like that sort of simple, random interaction is going to be awesome.
You're going to feel like a god when it happens.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. Bring it on. I am so on board for this. If you can't tell. If you can't.
That's awesome. I'm happy to hear that. Is this our first anomaly you've been like totally into? I think so. I think the XP one you're worried about. You didn't like the weather.
I mean, weather was absolute miss.
What about
the XP
buildings?
orb one? I liked portions of. I didn't like the stuff that they ended up getting rid of. We ended XP orbs on exactly how I wanted it to be, and then I liked towers.
Okay,
I liked towers. I was, yeah. No, I'm fairly certain I like towers. I can't remember if that was my initial reaction or not. I may have been concerned at the beginning, but I did end up liking towers, and I'm happy with that where they ended. I'm happy with how the permanent version of the tower anomaly that we ended up with.
Nice.
So
I'm excited to see what this could mean.
I think overall anomalies have been net positives. I think the XP orb one was neutered quite a bit, but I really was not a fan of the things that they ended up getting rid of. I like the tower one. I like where it's at. And then obviously I think, weather was a miss, but they didn't keep it. So 2 out of 3, it might end up being 3 out of 4 here with Gladiator's Medallion. I'm gonna chalk it up.
Its own button is all I would need to really make this a permanent thing. I think for the caster side, certainly it'd be really nice to see those notes. We're already keeping track of things in our own heads. I'm not too concerned about seeing enemy cooldowns or my team's cooldowns, and I think that'll just lead to weird flaming of why didn't you hit the button? Well, I was CC'd before I could hit the button. Well, you should have precast it. Like, who cares about that? I would just like to have it on, T or something instead of the one button.
I'm just in complete agreement with you. I don't have a counterpoint to that. I'm with you on that. Let's go on and talk about something we haven't talked about in years, which is ARAM, a mode that you and I don't really interact with all that much. But this is a big change. So with the next patch, they're going to replace Heroes Brawl with the new ARAM. Brawl is going away, and ARAM is taking its place. And it's getting like a map pool. I haven't been in ARAM forever. I'm assuming it's just one map.
It's the same map pool it was because all the unique maps were affected by balance and hard to do in the first place, like Pool Party and stuff after the reworks. So we're already having Brawl be ARAM. We're just making it formal at this point.
Okay. Gotcha.
But the big deal is they're removing the chest you get from completing the Brawl, which to a lot of people who just love ARAM is awesome because people enter that mode just for the chest and they don't want to be there. And then they hate it and they flame each other when they're all playing ARAM. What are you doing? Just enjoy yourself. So now it might be a more enjoyable mode. What's really interesting is there were like news outlets covering this, like I think it was a Destructoid, and
I saw Polygon covered
Polygon,
this patch.
Yeah, and they were talking about the skins and the crossovers, but that was like this little section. Really, the huge part was Blizzard gets ARAM, and to me, it was what? I didn't realize it was such a big deal. Apparently,
they've had it the whole time.
I know, but this is really exciting for a lot of people who just enjoy that mode.
Well, and now you're going to be able to do your quests and your event quests as well in ARAM. It's going to count towards it, which that's enough to make me kind of want to consider playing ARAM right there. It's like, oh, cool. Sure. If I kind of feel like interfacing with Heroes of the Storm, but I don't feel like playing a proper objective-based map, and tryharding, but I just want to bang out some quests. Like, all right, let's get into ARAM. So I kind of look at this as a positive change as well. Just happy with this patch on a surface level. It just looks really good. We haven't even gotten to reworks and stuff yet. So, yeah. Let's talk about Storm League, because rewards are getting easier to achieve.
Yep, we're going from 50 wins to 35 wins in order to complete that season quest. And we do know what the next one's going to be. It's going to be the Tamed Ravasor mount. This looks like the sort of whitish pink raptor mount you can get in World of Warcraft, which I think is like removed from the game or has some sort of prestige to it. There's a lot of like WoW nerds who got really excited that they included this particular version of the raptor.
I missed that. I'm looking it up right now because I want to know why it's so 110 to 120. I don't know.
What are those numbers?
The level that it's an NPC that you can get into.
Oh, I don't quite know.
Chat room thinks you're talking about the Ivory Raptor, but I don't remember any of the Raptor mounts as things that were difficult to get. That doesn't mean it's not the case. Oh yeah, I remember Ivory Raptor. This is the old Raptor model. This makes more sense. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Did you get to see the season mount from this season?
No.
I'm pretty sure it was a Tiger King reference.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I have seen it multiple times. Yes. It's sure as hell seems like it, as it is a tiger with a crown, doesn't it?
And sunglasses. Yeah. It's pretty weird. It's pretty weird. This one's a bit more tame.
Yeah, sorry. I thought you were saying this raptor. I didn't see what this raptor looks like.
No, this one doesn't have any sunglasses. It's just a cool albino raptor business.
Sweet. But I like that they're dropping how many wins you need to get.
Yeah,
more rewards for more people.
With the jump up of the season that kind of happened, we went from like 4 weeks to suddenly 1 week. That happens pretty regularly when they decide everything's ready to go and they throw the switch. That's nice. Yeah.
I'm happy with that. Well, Kyle, before we get into nitty-gritty hero talk, because we have 2 reworks to get through this episode, we have a sponsor to thank. HelloFresh is sponsoring this episode of Into the Nexus. They are America's #1 meal kit. You should go check them out over at HelloFresh.com, and I would put a /80 Nexus after that. And remember the code 80Nexus. I'll tell you why in just a second. But if you've never tried the meal kit service HelloFresh, I am a big freaking fan. Kyle, it's so nice to just have ready to cook meals delivered to your door instead of having to like put on clothes and go to the grocery store.
Yes, it all comes all refrigerated and ready for you in a big old kit. Everything's pre-measured and you just get to cook. You feel like a wizard, an alchemist maybe. It is awesome. It'll actually, what it did for me, it was more than just a meal, Garrett. I can 100% say that I learned to cook because of HelloFresh. Because I learned to respect a recipe.
Why did you try to get weird?
Oh, I always like, I'm like, oh, I'm making pasta sauce. I'll add a little bit of this. Oh, however much basil I feel like. Like, I wanted whimsy. But cooking is not whimsy. It is hard work. And HelloFresh makes it easier.
Yeah, they do. And there's something for everyone. They have low-calorie, vegetarian, and family-friendly options every week. You don't need to worry about meal planning or, as I mentioned, grocery store trips. You can just enjoy cooking, and you can get dinner on the table in just around 30 minutes. They also have 20-minute quick recipe options, which I'm a big fan of, especially like on Into the Nexus recording days. So get out of this. And we gotta go make dinner and get it done quickly, especially if we're doing patron games afterwards. And it's flexible. You can easily change your delivery days. You can change your food preferences, and it's really easy to skip a week if you're going to be traveling or something. It's great. So you should go check it out. Next week, Kyle, they have pub-style shepherd's pie I have never made my own shepherd's pie. I'm very excited about this one. I'm going to get some like nice dark ale to go with it. I'm going to pretend I'm in my favorite pub. I'll probably wear this hat. This hat looks like I'd be in a pub.
Nice.
Bring it. Bring it. So go check them out. HelloFresh.com/80Nexus and use the code 80Nexus. You're going to get a total of $80 off your first month, including free shipping on your first box. Additional restrictions apply. Make sure, please visit HelloFresh.com for more details. Again, that is $80 off your first box. All you have to do is go to HelloFresh.com/80Nexus and use the code 80Nexus. And we thank you for checking it out. Go into HelloFresh.com/80Nexus because that helps the show out directly. So go and give them a look. And now, Kyle, let's get right into the first of 2 reworks that are coming in with this new patch. The D.Va rework is here. Well, almost. It's on its way.
Right. The thing that was promised, probably accidentally, for 2 straight years is arriving.
You know what this is? This is your Amazon notification from the Heroes of the Storm developers. Your D.Va rework has shipped. Estimated arrival date, Tuesday.
And you didn't even you ordered it from like a really weird website. You're not really sure if it was ever going to ship. So you're just elated that amount of money you spent 2 Christmases ago, it's happening. And you know what? It seems to be, this is all try mode first impressions, but it seems to be very high damage. It seems to be incredibly intricate dynamic between the 2 modes a little bit. And it might be able to double soak, which I think is the thing I'm most excited about, because that opens D.Va up to a world of participating on certain maps. And our double soak pool is, for the main guys, Zul, Leoric, Malthael, without getting weird, is pretty small. And they're decently resilient, probably Malthael being one of the more squishy ones there. If D.Va can do that and always get out, and it's D.Va, that gives her a place.
Yeah. Yeah, because her team fight ability to me seems still a little weird, and I think has always been the case with D.Va, and I don't think that's necessarily getting smoothed over. And I don't know about you, man, but as someone who really likes playing solo lane, I'm always thinking about what do I bring to the team fight, right? And I feel like double soak can glaze over a less than stellar team fight capability.
Sure. Yeah.
The damage does seem high, don't get me wrong, but if she uses any of her other abilities, she's not doing damage, and that just, still concerns me.
It's a big deal.
Yeah. What excites me, Kyle, did you try this? You can just go take a bruiser camp at level 1. There's nothing stopping you but time.
Are we talking nothing stopping you but ETC time, or what sort of time are we talking about?
I didn't run a timer, but it was, if someone covers your lane, I don't think it's out of this world to be I'm just going to go take a break. Yeah, I think you need to take this self-healing at level 1, but it's just yeah, why not? The splash damage from her auto attack gets work done.
Okay, so probably a blaze speed about.
That's what it felt like to me. Yeah. I just want to see if I'd be knocked out of mech form or not. And so, because her health didn't go up much. It went from 2150 to 2250. So we're going up by 100. So it's not like the health has been insane. But in the dev comments, they said that they were giving her new tools and redistributing her power to help her fill more of a traditional bruiser role. And I was like, oh, sweet bruiser. Yeah. And my first thought is just bruiser, self-healing. And then I start reading through everything. I'm like, I don't see any self-healing, but there is on a level 1 talent. And it's, at least to me, it seems pretty effective.
Yes, she has the liquid cooling, which allows you to cast your healing fountain from afar on a reduced cooldown. And then you can also get healing back from the bonus damage dealt on your midi guns. Fusion cannons is what they're called. And you're going to have a close range mode. You have this long triangle. There's a box in the front that's your close range, kind of like Stitch's Slam. And then the far end, which is just the normal damage. That bonus damage area can get you some healing. So
yeah, they took the base damage and they reduced it a tiny bit. But I don't want to undersell the bonus damage, because if someone is close enough to the mech that they are past that line that you're describing, I really like the UI on this. It's 50% bonus damage. And that works on the splash. So if you're getting multiple targets, it can also be minions. inside that line, you're getting that 50% bonus damage on all of the targets.
Yeah, it's very easy to think of D.Va as the pilot mode doing pretty darn good damage. Actually, I mean, that pilot mode could be solo on Battlefield of Eternity. That damage is actually going down a little bit on pilot mode, which is perfectly fair. But the mech is now actually having a pretty decent output. What this means is that with Gazlowe, they've kind of, maybe like Leoric, they've defined an area of bruiserdom that is disruption bruiser. It's not Malthael assassinations. It's not going to be your thrall off-tanking. You are just causing so much raw chaos, bumping people, bouncing around, what have you, not dying, disrupting people with your defense matrix, that you are performing a bruiser role without actually killing anybody. Except for the problem is maybe D.Va and Gazlowe are doing really, really good amounts of damage. So they are killing people.
Yes, and you also get this like Lucio light annoying kind of like mechanic, because you can now move, you can now fire while walking. You're going to move at 25% slower while you're doing so, but if you come in quickly because you use boosters and you displace someone because you knocked them back, you know, kind of Lucio style, you can now stick with them and deliver that damage, which I'm just imagining all of the D.Vas coming out of bushes now and completing kills.
My favorite talent in the entire kit is how they updated the nuclear option so that if you hit the self-destructing mech with your big shot, which is now baked into pilot mode, it'll blow up 40% faster, basically speeds up the eruption.
Oh, that's sick.
Now big shot does a lot of damage. You may not want to use it in that way. Ideally, I guess you would hit a hero and hit the mech, but it's just a really cool idea. And while looking at these builds, I see the double soak build that's possible. I think in organized play, we'll probably see a lot of just defense matrix builds because they can get a lot done, and they can definitely, now being able to retarget, change the direction of the defense matrix. It's way more effective for its entire duration. You can get like lower armor on it. It can slow. It's doing some wild things. And then there's like another build that's very like piloty, Vala light. But at level 13, you can take one talent and get the torpedo dash and the concussive pulse that was previously the level 20. That's basically a Lucio boop. So you have this crazy option pool for D.Va.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, like, I mean, she was already one of the more unique heroes in the game. It's just that she didn't really fit anywhere. But I think she's retaining that uniqueness, if not gaining even more of it, or at least in the case of her 20s, you know, pilot abilities moving down to 13, just getting it sooner, right? I'm very excited about this rework, and D.Va for me has been like a sleeper. If you remember, I liked her quite a bit when she first hit the game, and then I kind of just forgot about her. It's been a long time since we've talked about D.Va.
She's cool, but she's at a 1% win rate, or excuse me, that's awful. 1% pick rate.
Pick rate. There you go.
Before this was announced. Now she's gone up to 2% because people have gotten excited. She didn't have a place though. And with the new micro missiles ability at level 10, since we're moving that big shot to baked in, she can do some pretty impressive lane clear. It's hard to tell if we'll use it for that. It's actually kind of a hard ability to describe. We don't really have, it's really simple. Basically, in a small or in a long triangle in front of you, you're gonna shoot 2 missiles.
You're right, Kyle. I am gonna shit because this rework is cool.
It goes boop, 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 shoots these missiles, and they sort of angle towards each other and have a array. So even though they're standing in this long triangle, there's a chance a missile might fly by because they're kind of firing, you know, Iron Man style, if you will. But it does a lot of damage, and you get 2 charges of it. That could be D.Va's good at getting those deletes on Chromie, or being this backline harasser on top of all the other things I just mentioned. And Bunny Hop is dealing a stun now. It's only 0.5 seconds. But
it's on every hop, right?
It's on every 4th hop.
Oh, every 4th. Okay.
So you're unstoppable, and you're going boing, boing like you normally do. But then you can see these little bunny symbols appearing above their heads. When you get to 4, you do a mini stun. So probably not the fastest thing to interrupt maybe a mosh pit. But at level 20, you can take a talent where as long as you don't move, that cast bar does not move. So you could bunny hop infinitely as long as you're not wiggling the mouse too much.
What, like, can you do like a stop command and you'll just hop in place?
Yeah, you should probably issue a hold movement because otherwise you might move just a little bit and keep that bar going. But you could be like, team's fighting. This is the only avenue of escape. I'll start a bunny hop here and inch my way into the fight. But I'm basically zoning this entire area.
I haven't seen this myself, so I can't confirm whether or not this is actually the case. But Trevor was saying there's right now a bug on the PTR where you can perma bunny hop at 20 while moving.
Do you have to like taunt or dance or something weird like that to pull it off?
I don't know. I'm sure Corny will let us know.
Maybe shift commands or something weird.
Yeah.
It's not something that organically happened in my experience.
A move. Says Corny.
Wait. So it's the least complicated of all the choices there, but yeah, okay, an oversight. I don't see why.
All right, well, yeah, hopefully that'll get fixed before launch, or expect D.Va bans in your organized play.
Yeah. I mean, headshot, dividing that into increasing the damage of the big shot. Like there are cool options here. Timing attack can give you a lot of those mini missiles to fire with your micro missiles. There's just options, and I expect we're gonna see her everywhere.
You can, yeah. This is a rework I kind of want to fight to play a lot of early on, as opposed to waiting my turn for the hype to die down. I'm pretty excited about this. You think you're going to be playing some D.Va?
The difficulty with the organized play thing is if I'm not playing tank, I'm not practicing. So, and when I do off pick things, it's really, really simple because I haven't practiced. So
I think you were off lane. When did you become tank? Oh wait, no.
Oh, that was a
while ago. No, never mind. Sorry, I knew this.
I think I did the big talk about it on the Bahamut episode that you weren't here for, so there wasn't much how do you do about it.
Yeah, but I've also filled in for your solo lane, so I should know this.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. But it's all Rainers and previously Deckard, and now he's gonna get that big Ruby nerf we'll be talking about in a moment. But let's talk about Gazlowe.
Yeah, this is the closest thing I get to weirded out by something, or not inherently, not instantly excited. In this patch, which is the Gazlowe rework, and there's just so much here. So let's get a little technical and then have a conversation. Mana's going away. His resource is now scrap. You can store a maximum of 10 scrap. That max can go up based on talents. Base health has been increased by a ton, almost by 25%, from 18 and change to over 2,200 health. That's a major leap for Gazlowe's health. And then a little bit more basic attack damage. And then the trait is being adjusted to work in conjunction with scrap being the new resource. You're going to regenerate 1 scrap every 4 seconds. But if you destroy a turret, it drops 1 scrap, and you get 1 scrap back.
Right. So a turret is 4 scrap, you get 1 scrap back. This isn't going to be a free exchange, but scrap is being generated over time naturally, and other abilities and talents can generate scrap too, or increase your maximum scrap. To give you a brief idea, at level 20, you are capable of having infinite turrets, should you choose, thanks to auto attacks prolonging their life. You can pop out about 7 very quickly using a death laser talent that gives you more scrap back for each hero you hit. So you drop, 1, 2, 3, then get some refresh scrap with talents, and then 1, 2, 3, and then 1 more because of cooldowns on the backside of that.
Yeah.
The turrets are, they're losing some power because you're going to have so many of them. Range.
Some? A lot. Like a lot. Damage is going from 62 to 36.
But you get a range increase, and
hey, what's happening to the duration?
It's going from 30 seconds to 15?
Yeah. So herein lies my concern.
You're not wrong.
It's cool because there's a lot of ways that you can game the scrap resource of the new Gazlowe and get out significantly more turrets than that was previously possible. And when that happens, when you can pull that off, it's very cool. I'm not sure how reliably you're going to be able to pull that off against real opponents.
Right. It'll be a lot. It's again, this kind of disruption style thing. Let's talk about what's making him more bruisery though. And that is his death laser is now going to heal him. 25% of the damage dealt and 75 for heroes. Once
again, like the devs specifically calling out making this hero more bruiser-like in the dev comments. They mentioned that for D.Va, and they're mentioning it here again for Gazlowe. And yeah, you're right. There's that baked in 25% healing on damage dealt from death laser, or 75% if that's against heroes. There's also talents that make this even better.
What it's going to look like when you're picking a talent build is basically, do you want to be melee Robo-Goblin Gazlowe, which will now be almost I don't know how you want to say it. It's a poison melee. You are going to make people bleed or put gears over them. It doesn't really get into the bleeding part quite like Kira. That was her whole theme. But people are going to take damage over time. You're going to do a lot of damage. You're going to have armor, a little bit of it, and you'll be in the melee getting busy. Explodium Charge no longer has a cast. It is drastically decreased in its range, or at least the feeling of it, and the explosion delay is much faster. So think of more like a flame strike, basically. You're going to have to walk a little bit of into exposed territory, but throw it out, circle, 1, 2, 3, bam, it goes, like not even seconds there. Well, and the stun is decreased to 1 second.
Yeah, I like the death laser, and I like the explodium charge changes. And I'm not here to like, I'm not ready to say like I don't like the turret changes. I'm just like, it's so different that I feel like an instant reaction is concern. But I don't think, to me, Explodium Charge didn't feel that bad. It went from a range of 9.5 down to 7, which is significant. And you can definitely notice it, but I didn't think it was too bad, especially on the back of gaining so much health, right? It doesn't feel as scary to take that extra step or two forward to get enraged, to drop your Explodium Charge. We didn't talk about like the wind up on Death Laser. It's like basically non-existent now.
Yeah, it no longer increases in size or width as it charges. This is going to be very quick. If you get stunned, it still goes off. So you're guaranteed some survivability when you fire this thing, as long as it hits a hero. And something else we didn't talk about here, but I'm reminded because of Gazlowe, both D.Va and Gazlowe have giant killer talents at level 4. So not only are they heavy disruption, self-healing, maybe high damage bruisers, but there's a new philosophy that a bruiser also perhaps has to have a giant killer very early on, which makes sense if you're fighting a health-based enemy like Yrel or maybe Imperius, where your disruption won't be working so strong. I think both D.Va and Gaz are going to have great lane clear, though, so this seems like a really good option for them to have. I'm talking about good, maybe over the peak of being too good.
That's fair.
Because now they're answering all the calls. They don't have a global, maybe like Dahaka has a spot.
Yeah,
but they've got a lot of options into how they're going to play, and having these two unique builds, the turret build and the melee build for Gazlowe, really gives them an interesting early draft kind of place for it. I want to do turret build.
Yeah, he still doesn't have an escape, and his self-healing being on Death Laser, even though Death Laser is a lot faster to fire off, that's still like skill shot based healing that roots you when you do it. Like, so sure. There's a lot of concern there, which is, again, I feel almost like they had to up the health. So I think that's what's going to keep Gazlowe in check. I'm with you on D.Va. Like, D.Va is just straight up has a second health bar and movement ability.
But these are the kind of cute things I'm excited about. Like Arc Reactor at 16, when you fire an Explodium Charge, it creates 3 miniature turrets by it, which are also targetable using your, I guess it would be 1 button, now your 2 button, because the Gladiator Medallion's there, right? So it's going to be a little messy. But you've also got, overclock at that level that gives you bonus movement speed on basic attacks, 15 every time you land one. Deal basic attack damage to hero, causes them to take additional damage equal to 2.5 of their max health.
Boy, as a Sonya fan, I love this talent. It's great.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, and look at Zul'jin's doing movement speed at 13 instead of the ensnare now. We're finding, obviously, I guess you could say, but being connected is a good thing.
Staying connected is really freaking important.
Yeah.
And Gazlowe hurts when he smacks. And if you win Robo Goblin, you're doing that poison damage, as you mentioned. So even more important to stay connected.
I think it's gonna be fun. I don't know if I'll have time to put him in the roster, but being solo Gazlowe and Braxis, just a blast.
Yeah, I played quite a few live Gazlowe games this week to remind myself, because it's been a while since I played him, and he can still do work, man. And at least in my short time playing him this week, I felt like on more cases than not, I was destroying my turrets long before they were done to move them up and continue kind of playing the map. But were definitely multiple scenarios where the turrets being around for a long time, doing noteworthy damage, was important and played a role. And so that's why I look at my biggest concern here is with the turrets. I'm gonna say that I think it's just me erring on the side of it's change, and I don't really know how to read into it. But these are two very cool reworks for sure.
I think they were extremely smart to remove the snowball potential of the old scrap mechanic. It would basically mean that, when you would destroy buildings, including the tiny walls, which counted as structures, you would get scrap, which would give you more mana and cause your abilities to recharge 3 times faster. So it was this weird, turbo solo lane problem that he had to be addressed. He was pretty good in his solo lane too, so it was trouble in the first place. But then if he got that snowball rolling, if he got your tower, your wall, the side walls into that fort, he was sitting on so much scrap and cooldown that it was impossible and too dangerous for you to go in there and deal with that now. You had to address him even earlier than your brain would say you have to address him, kind of like Asmodan, I guess. But just getting rid of that snowball and adding him in that power back into a team fight world, love it.
Fair. I mean, I want these to work because I get 2 more heroes on my solo lane roster.
There you go.
I really want these. I'm pretty. I think I'm over the moon on D.Va, and I'm hoping that Gazlowe clicks for me. And I'm just looking at something like what Chromie players went through a year ago, where it was no, it's too much change, and then they figured it out.
And them having the same tools as other heroes in terms of the disruption, double soak, level 4 giant killer means they'll be easier to get on your kit. They're I can jump between Kael'thas and Jaina, but I can't just go to Chromie or Orphea immediately, just as I can't play Yrel and jump over to Chen. I think there is a world where your skills will continue to be valuable. And is that good? Is that bad? I'm not sure. If I were to convince you of anyone right now to learn in solo lane, I'd say Chen. But we all have fantasy issues too. We don't want to be a Chen.
I draw a bit of a line at Chen. I'm sorry, Badger Lord. I know you're listening. I await your tweet. That just too different, too weird, too strange. Yeah. And yet I do love body blocking.
Body blocking's fun. But not everybody wants to be Illidan either. We all have these heroes we don't connect with.
Yeah. And so that's kind of the meat of our discussion. We're gonna talk a little bit about these other balance changes, but they're pretty minor across the board. We'll probably come back around to them at a later episode to kind of dive deeper as we see the effects of these changes coming. But Alarak, according to devs, fallen off a little too much to their liking, so he's getting a minor health increase going from 1900 to 1950. And then we're also getting more initial damage bonus on negatively charged at level 4.
This is your lightning surge talent and causes bonus damage to enemies between Alarak and his victim. And that is a huge part of the lightning build. It doesn't help with picks. Alarak still struggles solo lane wise, but he's a melee assassin, so I don't think he needs that addressed directly. Just a nice buff to a talent build I want to be doing again. I hope comes back.
Yeah. Cassia, apparently Surge of Light still being too dominant at level 7, so it's getting nerfed again, going from 250 down to 240 damage, and the damage taken amount required to activate has been increased by 150, going from 500 to 650. That's quite a bit there.
Yeah, it won't be crazy for her, but that's less Surge of Lights and lower damage Surge of Lights. She lost near 6% win rate just on the last pile of changes. So we like to say they're not doing enough for Cassia in the community. These are having very large impacts, and I expect she's going to fall down pretty fast.
Yeah. Chromie. According to them, the recent changes were to present a viable alternative to once again the first time, which they think they succeeded at a little too well. And I think also everyone agrees that they succeeded a little too well. They're calling out the W build overall being too powerful, so they're toning it down. Deep breathing at level 1 is having the damage bonus reduced from 1.5% to 1% per stack, which again, we're dealing in small numbers, but that is a massive chunk of that being stripped out. Also, the cooldown reduction upon quest completion is being reduced from 5 to 4 seconds, and the mana cost upon quest completion is going from 30 to 40. On top of this, over at level 5, Kyle, Mobius Loop is having the damage bonus reduced from 50% all the way down to 30%, and the slow duration is going from 1 second down to a 3/4 of a second, a fraction of a second.
Yeah, this was a 75% pick rate talent build when we look at those two talents.
I played Chromie this week, Kyle. That's how good Chromie is.
Did you enjoy it? Were you doing the temporal loop cooldown?
I did not, actually. I really don't like how Chromie plays.
Okay.
Not for me at all, but I won.
Not sure what's happening about there, but I'm winning. So
yeah, I'm just hitting Q and W, and sometimes it connects and things die.
That's what Chromie does, honestly, with this build in particular. Once again, for the first time, is quite a bit more elegant and aimed. Even though on a 3-second cooldown, she can miss a good majority of those and be fine. Yeah, and I'm not throwing shade on Chromie players, by the way. I'm throwing shade at myself. Good Chromies that land things on the regular, I'm impressed because I was not landing things consistently. It's not about landing things. It's about the time traps. And that's my same problem with Junkrat. I think both these heroes are not my flavor. Like we talked about earlier, make them Death Knights, give them spikes, infest them, whatever. Like they could become my flavor. Oh, Chromie's got a great little like skull mask skin that I love. I absolutely love. Like that's all I need. Oh, and like the day it came out, I bought that Cyberpunk one she got. Oh yeah, that's a good one too. She's got cool options, but it still doesn't quite match my fantasy. I've been throwing sand around and shooting a bunch of grenades. I liked it in GoldenEye, but I think the traps are awesome. Is my point. But they take so much work to get good at, or at least to remember when you're switching around heroes. You can't just go play Artanis and then be like, hey, remember how to lay traps in every bush and pre-plan the fight in advance? And then Chromie on top of that, you have to hit the button to activate it, and you might be trapped in as well, or you could trap your allies. Yeah, it's a bit much. Yes. Thank you for mentioning GoldenEye, by the way. All I can think of now is the music from Facility. Oh, well, yeah, that's because we played that one the most. I hope you're ready to carry the rest of the episode, because I'm just going to be sitting here just humming the whole time. Okay. I'll mute myself, though. I'll mute myself. I liked how we slid on our knees when we crouched. That was the best part. Oh, yeah, it was so good. Slappers was the best. It was hilarious. It was so ridiculous. And you're not allowed to play Odd Job. He's legitimately harder to shoot than any other. Right. That was the cheater friend. Yeah. Yep. I always played as Xena. Wasn't that her name? Xena, Zarya? Getting a little blue here, but Kyle, I did actually watch GoldenEye the other night, and because in my head I was like, oh, this movie's great. I forgot it had an orgasm assassin. I was like, ooh, this doesn't hold up. This doesn't hold up at all. Okay. And it's Jean Grey from the original X-Men trilogy. Yeah. And the accent's a little heavy. It's an interesting. It was a parody of itself. Why did they bother making Austin Powers after that movie? GoldenEye is ridiculous. GoldenEye's so great, though. The only one pulling their weight as an actor is Sean Bean. He's the only one trying in that movie. No, what about the American guy who has a rose on his butt? Yo, Jimbo? That guy's terrible. The guy with the bullet in his knee who the Russian contact. I do like him. He shows up in later Pierce Brosnan Bond films too. I do like that character. That's my dad's favorite Bond. It's the one we watched the most. I grew up watching that movie. Like, to me, she was just using her leg strength. There was nothing wrong with that squeeze. She was enjoying it a little bit. That's why I picked her as the character to play as. Something I definitely did not get as a kid. Yeah, and that's fine.
But boy, it was just I love that one too. I really do. I love GoldenEye, but it had been so long since I watched it. Oh my God, man. I hope everyone enjoyed this mini week sauce.
There we go. Perfect.
I hope everyone enjoyed it.
Speaking of old men, Deckard.
I am invincible. Ruby, level 4.
Skin with a pen and all.
Boris is great. I've been playing with a clicky pen ever since I watched it, by the way. Ruby, cooldown is being increased from 10 to 20 seconds on Ruby. Needed to happen.
It did. But, and this was pointed out to me by Kyberries actually while we were playing our games the other night, she's concerned that there's a bit too much swinginess in the supports, and I'm kind of noticing the trend here. We take a support, and we resurrect Ariel, and we Bloodlust Rhaegar, and we Ruby Deckard. I want people to play supports. I want people to love supports. But it kind of does feel like we're picking a flavor of the patch and letting that be king for a bit, and then being like, all right, did everyone have fun? Are the sports satisfied with that? They want to change heroes. Did you hear? I'm kind of bored of Deckard. Are you bored of Deckard? I'm bored of Deckard. Let's just, we'll all spam something else for a little bit.
Well, as long as eventually they all kind of get ironed out, and we have now had our worldview widened on the way to kind of spec out different supports. Because now Ruby's getting taken down a peg. What's the next support? What are we spamming next, Kyle?
Now, that's an interesting comment that basically there are stay-arounds who really enjoyed Deckard and are like, you know, I mean, certainly for me, Deckard was my main healer this season because of Ruby. And I was willing to wait the extra 2 seconds on my Herodric Cube in order to have a Ruby for every Herodric Cube I cast. It was great. Why would I ruin that? And I really enjoyed Deckard, and I want to keep playing it, but I also really enjoyed Ariel during her time, and she lost that power. Malfurion hasn't been touched, so he's still the backup there. I definitely was a part of when I was supporting the Rhaegar Bloodlust. Like, I've been riding this wave, and so far, none of the heroes have stuck with me when they move on to the next thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's still your pocket Ariels and your pocket Annas that are just incredible. And even Malfurions to a certain degree. Like, Malfurion still has a place depending on comp and whatnot. So, like, I get it, but I feel like there's still a place for these specialist healer players.
Sure. I think there's a real opportunity, too, for a lot of different healers to be exciting with the Gladiator's Medallion in tow. I think about Brightwing, base kit, doing the Soothing Mist, activate to remove all stuns, roots, slows, and silences every 100 seconds. You Unstoppable yourself go into trouble and still cast this. Like, all the, even Deckard included, who doesn't have a cleanse, is being elevated by that. And I'm really excited to see where they... Malfurion has a level 7, Nature's Cure, which is actually the highest win rate and pick rate. Maybe not pick rate, but it is the highest win rate talent on that tier, which is rare for the cleanses.
Yeah. They're looking at ETC, Kyle.
Oh, they got to.
Encore at level 13, heroic cooldown reduction reduced from 8 to 6%.
I think this slightly gets it into more sane territory, but I'm still in love with the mini game.
So still
nice.
Still pick worthy in your mind.
Yeah, man. It's just so fun to do solo moshes. I even did like a zoning mosh. The enemy only had one angle of escape, so I just popped a mosh in their escape zone. If you want to come through here for the next 4 seconds, you're going to be mosh pitted. That's my declaration. And we won that fight. It was a zoning mosh, and it was done purposefully because once it was over, I then went, okay, let me go up to the enemy wall. And then you just run around just dropping my... Lost Vikings is being picked a lot too. So you just power slide the Lost Vikings, then on them, and you get your cooldown back instantly. It's amazing. And I don't think this is big enough to stop me from tanking Amp in solo queue.
Well, at least you might not get instant resets.
Yes, I might not be able to double up, and I'm sure they've done the math on it to see that this is probably a healthier number too for it. But let me actually see what because we looked at the pick rate earlier in the episodes. It's actually not absurd. We're looking at close to 50% there, with a higher win rate now on Face Smelt, which is the decaying slow.
Yeah, almost
by 1%.
Basically split there. Encore's winning out, and then Mic Check and Face Smelt are like split between them. So there's this good talent diversity here. And yeah, you're right. Higher win rate on Face Smelt. I always have to remind myself that that's actually how it's written.
But I'm still like in long team fights, I think Mic Check is better. In coordinated play, I still think Mic Check is better. And in solo queue, when I don't even know if anyone's going to hit their skill shots in the first place, I'm dropping that amp and having a good time. And it's going to keep happening.
Nice. Well, Imperious, according to them, while Imperious is a great addition to any team and is within our bounds of overall performance, Flash of Anger is dominating its tier and has become too much of his power pie. And so level 7 Flash of Anger damage going down from 180 to 165, and the shield amount is also being reduced from 300 to 275. I think these are some mild adjustments.
But it had to happen. This was so much, and it's really interesting word choiceage. I don't know if I should read into it or not, but they said power pie without redistributing the power pie. So it seems like just a nerf. It definitely lowers his power spike at 7, which is huge for him. 85% pick rate there. But we're not giving it back to anywhere.
Brew, if you could ask AZ Jackson about what he means by power pie there, and then relay that that answer to us next week, that'd be great, because I know it
makes me think you have something in the hopper. You're thinking about something there. You're gonna give it somewhere else.
Yeah. Or there was a different change in there, but they didn't change the wording in the dev comment.
That could happen too.
Orphea. They said the last round of buffs have done a lot to bring Orphea into the meta. I agree. A few of her talents are simply too powerful compared to their alternatives, so we're toning them down as well as trying to incentivize players to try building around her dread ability by making its key quest easier to complete. So there's quite a bit of changes to Orphea here in a patch where anything that wasn't a rework is actually kind of subtle. But level 1 Ancestral Strength, bonus damage going down from 20 to 15%. That's a pretty big nerf there on Ancestral Strength. Then
a decent hit to her highest pick rate, highest win rate talent.
Yep. Level 7 Mind Devour, damage per enemy hero hit increased from 4 to 5. Maximum bonus damage reduced from 160 to 150. Heroes hit required for quest completion being reduced from 40 all the way down to 30. So that's cool.
Yeah, interesting. They're highlighting that one as the sort of talent that's going to pull the whole dread build together, which is a fair assessment.
I don't have very strong or informed opinions about the dread build. I don't mess around with it, so I don't really know. And then the Abyssal Symbiosis at 13, shield amount going down from 180 to 170. I get it. Very popular talent, and that's a pretty mild change. And then finally, Dead Magic at 16, damage reduced from 95 to 90. Again, kind of playing with small numbers there.
It's a good build for her, that whole auto attack trait build. I like how much throughput it has. I like the self-healing it brings. Orpheas are someone I don't have to take care of as a tank, which is just delightful when it comes to the likes of Kael'thas or Kel'Thuzad, and even Mephisto here and there can start yelling at you for not doing stuff. But Orphea, they're cool. They're pretty cool customers.
Yeah, she is just eked out above Cassie, as Cassie has been being reined in, but she's just under Tracer. And so I kind of like where Orphea's been at, because I'm like, wow, Tracer's going to be like a top 10 hero. Tracer doesn't really have to try for her survivability. Orphea does. Like, it's skill-based survivability, whereas on Tracer, it's just hit a button. So I kind of dug that, but, I don't know. Mages.
It's right, but look at it. I mean, it is fair to say that this actually is pretty healthy. I think this is one of the first times, and I mean no insult if it's happened before, but in terms of balance, when we're looking at Cho'Gall, Rexxar, Sammy, Lost Vikings, Mei in the top with things like Tracer, it's nice that all of our top heroes right now are complicated. They earn their power. It's not a bunch of Rainer's decently high, of course, which is a great place for him, but it's not a lot of easy to do stuff.
No, you're absolutely right. I'm with you there. I'm pretty damn happy with the meta at the moment. I've been having a good time with it. Tassadar. While not dominating in regards to his win rate, Tassadar is performing a little too well for how popular he is. Both Static Charge and Archon are dominating their Talontiers, so rather than nerfing Tassadar's base kit, we're reducing the power of these two talents in hopes of creating more competitive Talontiers, while also slightly reducing his overall... where did Tassadar go? I'm losing my place. There's a Stitches change.
Overall impact. You're good.
Yeah.
So Static Charge level 1 going down in the bonus damage.
A ton.
Yeah.
250 to 200. That's a lot being stripped out.
And the other options that one can get some cool stuff done. I would love it if Psi Infusion was just made more sexy. The range is really, really nice, but it's boring. And the mana back doesn't feel very impactful. It is a cool opportunity to do something cool. I see quite a bit now of the auto attack talent at 1, and a lot of people favoring that. It does have slightly higher win rate. It means a lot of standstill, so it can be very dangerous. And certainly I'm working hard to peel those sort of Tassadars out there. And then Archon losing shield amount, basic attack damage as well, and splash damage. So that's a 72% pick rate there. We were just talking about the complexity and playing the hero. This is an interesting comment that basically he's too powerful for how popular he is. So can our less popular heroes have more power? Maybe. It's an interesting comment on balance.
It's weird wording for sure. And it's been a while since we've seen like so many just kind of straight up nerfs, right? Like Orphea, yeah, they shored up Mind Devourer, but Orphea falls squarely in the nerf category, and so does Tassadar here.
Well, let's go to the final balance patch note real quick, because Dauntless on Yrel is going from 40 physical armor to 35, taking that down from its lofty past of 50 physical armor. But everybody said the last patch was a 5 out of 10 at best, more like a 3 out of 10. How dare they not nerf all the blah blah blahs? And here's a patch of nothing but nerfs, and everyone's like, what an uncreative, how the resetting for the season. I don't agree with this. This is what everybody begged for.
Kyle, I think your hot take is a 2 out of 10. That's what I'm rating it.
I think the Reddit agreement was a 7 out of 10 for this one. But we need to rate. We do need to rate it. We need to stop listening to Reddit or Grubby or whoever else was doing the review. We should get an opportunity to give it a number. Personally, I like the grade scale better because, you know, because
what, A through F?
Yeah.
I think this is pretty close to A territory for me. Like an A minus, probably B plus, just because I'm so uncertain about Gazlowe. It's definitely interesting, and this is the really going for it in terms of shakeup I like to see in reworks. So that makes me happy. But in practice, I am super, super unsure. I think D.Va is a slam dunk, but I'm gonna.
Yeah, in terms of balance as content, and certainly reworks are content.
Oh, you know what?
This is an A.
You know what, Kyle? If based on content alone, I would give it a B plus. But they did some extra credit with those skins, so I'm gonna bump them up to an A minus.
Well, that's literally content. If it was just the balance nerf parts of it, I think I'd definitely go with a B minus. It's not thrilling stuff. It's all stuff that had to happen. Maybe people were upset that it took too long to happen. I personally am sad about the wackiness of Yrel being reined in, because that allowed you to get away with a lot of random crud on the battlefield. But combo it all together, solid.
I mean, let's face it, dude. Heroes we have a lot of passion for that are maybe they have no place in the game right now, haven't been touched in a while. And so I think, and everything else is kind of, I think you and I are kind of happy with the meta outside of that. So I think it's gonna be a while before you and I are just like jubilant over a balance change. I don't know about you, but I'm just sitting here being like, I'm just waiting for Zagara to be worth picking again.
Well, it does introduce a new philosophy or show us what can be done to Zagara to make her a solo laner again. It sounds really messy for Zagara because we have several options now. We've got ridiculous staying power, like maybe Chen. We've got point control, like Rexar. We've got anti-high health deletion man Imperious, but bad lane clear. We've got lane clear double soak. And we have examples now of disruption giant killers. So is there a world where we can have a ranged... It does kind of feel like she should be squishy, though. Like I feel like squishy Zagara is a little bit of the fantasy.
I can't help but look at all the way back to the Sylvanas rework as something I kind of want to see happen with Zagara, like push her more into the assassin category. But I don't want her to lose solo lane.
You know what?
Like if Zul is solo lane melee, I just want Zagara to be a good solo lane range.
Well, we've got Asmodan too, who is a little messy, but people do put him in that role. I think giving her baseline Nidus in a different style would be the best way to encourage her to participate. Because imagine Dahaka without global. Sure, there's great tungers out there, but they are few and far between.
God. I hate the wording you chose.
Well, it's disgusting what he does to us, so he deserved it.
How would you change Nidus?
Make it more like Dahaka's burrow.
Or a fly.
A fly?
Like
Falstad?
Falstad.
Yeah.
Birdman.
Yeah. Like you're chilling, and then it eats you, and then you get regurgitated on a long cooldown somewhere else. But you do not set up a highway.
What about healing and mana return, though?
You're talking about in the likes of Zul and whatnot?
I'm talking about the likes of Nidus as it currently exists because they got rid of her regeneration.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I think we could give that back.
I missed the regeneration big time.
Yeah.
I loved that never having to like go back was like the trade-off if you wanted to go like a team fight Maw build.
I mean, she still regenerates the health and mana at 10% per second in there. But I'd like to see, I think, Devouring Maw in a world where Gladiator's Medallion sticks around could be a very cool pickup because it works on Unstoppables.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Nidus, flavor-wise, has become what I imagine Zagara to be. And Devouring Maw is a surprise. So let's give her some global power and come up with a new heroic like we did for D.Va.
It should be something with summons.
That'd be cool. The Brood Swarm, Brood Storm.
Was it Brood Storm? Was it?
I don't quite remember.
Oh no, I can't remember Jackson's terminology now. Broodlust.
I've forgotten.
It was Broodlust.
Broodlust. Yeah.
Broodlust got there.
But what if we followed that line of thought and we took something like Corrosive Saliva, which is granted working on both hunter killers and roachlings, but it's a 1.75% giant killer, and we're looking at things like 2% on our divas and our Gazlowe rework here. Move that up to 4 so she can battle the likes of Imperious and Yrel and give them a little bit of, anti-health business while wiggling around. Give her a global that allows her on a long cooldown to move about in a flavorful way and come up with something awesome and more assassiny or disruptive as another 10.
I want assassiny.
Assassiny, cool.
Maw is disruptive. Let's give a damage dealing heroic. Preferably with ads. Preferably with Zerglings that start attacking very quickly with a Zerg Bloodlust sound.
Interesting. There's also a world where she could be completely reworked as a support. Or, yeah, I guess a support would probably be best, but healer. Because that's certainly what you used him in StarCraft for.
Nope. Nope.
So to you, it's not Zagara unless it's dealing damage.
I
through summons.
Want a Zerg hero with Zerg ads owning the lane.
Oh, and Fest Sports. I mean, there's lots of like cute stuff we can come up with, right, chat? Like things that are off the beaten path. Like I would love. She's a queen after all. Climb inside a destroyed fort. It starts spawning infested Terrans that run down the lane. Oh, that'd be awesome.
Oh, that'd be so good. That'd be so good, Kyle. Don't stop it. Stop teasing me.
I would be comfortable with you reusing the assets in the terrain from Braxis. Infested factory, sure. I'm comfortable with that.
All right, we need to end here.
We need to move on. Yes,
we need to end here. That brings us to the end of the PTR patch. Again, next week we will be joined by Andrew Keenabrew, Senior 2 artist from Heroes of the Storm team, to talk about this event, to talk about all of the art and how it was conceived and where this idea came from. I'm really excited about that. I'm excited to talk to Brew next week, Kyle. It's been a long time since we've had him on.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a blast. I'm excited about those things as well. Of course, it'll be very art dependent oriented, but we look forward to seeing you on the other side of that episode with a fresh episode. That'll definitely be all about the balance, the D.Va release, the Gazlowe rework, how those things landed.
Yeah. If you have questions, just remember Brew isn't going to be answering balance questions.
No,
not his forte.
That's not his department.
Yeah. So art questions for next week's episode. Going to be a fun one, so make sure you don't miss it. And that's going to wrap it up. It's going to bring us to the end of this episode. Huge thanks, patrons, for supporting our show. We really appreciate it, everybody. Check it out, patreon.com/ITN if you want to become a patron. And a huge thanks to our Patreon producers, Declan H., Cheesy Bob, Chris K., Mike C., and our newest producer, Sean B. Thank you so much, and welcome to the producer party, pal. Couldn't help myself. You can catch us on Thursdays at twitch.tv/AMoveTV. We go live shortly after 3 p.m. Usually. Sometimes we're just like, you want to play a game? Yeah. It's our show, right? We can start 30 minutes late and play a game. Yeah. But today we're
a video game. Of course we can play the game.
Yeah. It's our choice. Anyways, check it out, twitch.tv/AMoveTV. Follow the show at ITNcast. And check out the other awesome stuff that we do outside of Into the Nexus. Kyle, where can people find you?
You can find me over at KyleFergusson.com, 2 S's in Fergusson. Check out episode 2 of season 6 of DMGI, the DM Gives Inspiration Dungeon Master Learn to Play show. This past week was all about working stealth and march order, so you can, well, properly surprise and maybe kill your players off elegantly. Also, check out youtube.com/HeroesHearth for the upcoming Gladiator's Medallion theory crafting video on Monday.
Nice. Everyone go check that out. I'm Garrett Art on Twitter, amove.tv for this podcast and every single other one that I produce. Double stacking shows today, as a matter of fact. I'm going to be doing the Angry Chicken a little bit later. Good thing we pushed, because there was a major patch announced today. We haven't even been getting announcements. Usually they've been like surprising us. They're like, here's a patch. It's out. But we actually got a little bit of pre-warning on this. So if you want to hear about 8-player custom Battlegrounds lobbies, new heroes coming to Battlegrounds, and some nerfs and buffs to Constructed Hearthstone, check out The Angry Chicken, a Hearthstone podcast that you can find wherever podcasts can be found. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of Into the Nexus. We will see you in 1 week's time with Andrew Keenabrew. And until then, good luck and have fun, everyone.
Take care.